Welcome back, everybody. We are here to complete and conclude the Flame Body Activation series. They are found in the Dance for Life, Love, and Freedom manual. I will show you what this manual looks like. You can find this manual, which walks you through all 20 techniques, in the Master Study Guide. I highly recommend, for example, that you print this out and have it with you because it is really great to also revisit these flame body activations at a later date. We are going to complete Flame Body Activation 18, the Betcha Hova scan. Flame Body Technique 19 must be done after you complete the Witness Questionnaire. The Witness Questionnaire will let you know if you are Manu, blue flame, Ire, violet flame, or Mane, gold flame. It presents a clear personal persona's perspective and is a conduit for the 3D mind, providing the means to work directly with areas of imbalance for an immediate mental, emotional, spiritual perspective. It summarizes the totals that are a snapshot at one time of how well you progress with your shadow healing integration and how it's going. So you must complete the questionnaire to know the primary contact ray, so you may then complete technique 19, which is contact 2. And then we will move on to technique 20, which is a pineal induction of a code. Technique 18, the Betcha Hova scan. We must have done pineal induction of the Rayana Echo Code 12 before proceeding to the Betcha Hova scan. This image here is the sun code or diamond sun code, which is the DNA diagram that is being used within the Freedom Teachings to demonstrate our DNA template and the map of our DNA. So this is the key. It is the activation code for the Betcha Hova scan. Whenever we are visualizing this code, we are using this see, feel, sense. That means that you don't necessarily have to see it in all of its detail. You can also sense it and get indications of areas of that map that you're needing to look at closely or to feel into closer. Whenever we're doing this practice, it's really, really important to not have any emotional attachment to the answers in particular. We cannot force or coerce the results. And there are times as well when our reishi identity will withhold some of the information because we're simply not ready for it. So we have to accept that we may not get clear answers right away. And you may want to repeat this practice on a daily until you're clear on the answers that you're looking for. So we have the 12 at the top. See the number 12 at the top, and it goes clockwise. The lines between are the strands. The stars are fire codes. So when they're activated, they begin a chemical process called strand braiding with the lower strand next to it. We're going to look at all of this in detail throughout the particular meditation sequence. There are 12 techniques with the Betcha Hova scan. One thing that I want to mention before we get started is that you can ask the code to come in close. You can have it expand itself, shrink itself. For example, the center of the code looks like a donut. It has a hole, and that will be your viewing screen, which you will use to see the codes and the symbols that are within the techniques to find out this information. You can ask it to show you what's going on within your DNA, to take a closer look. For example, if you're not feeling well or you have some sort of concern or situation or issue, you can absolutely pull up this code and ask it what's going on. Is there an activation happening within my DNA, which is resulting in this issue or this problem or this sickness? And you can almost see the current running up and down the strands. Okay, the strands, there's two of them. The magnetic particum base code, and then we have the particule electrical code. And these look like two little lines of about like a row of 12 diamonds running up and down each one, right? So it's very, very interesting if you ever did get a very strong visual of these. Please release any self-judgment or fear that needs to pass before you can access the incarnational information. Your avatar, again, I will repeat, will know if it's beneficial for you to know certain information and when you're ready for it. You can ask for certain issues in your life. You will never, ever, ever have to pay a psychic for information about things that you already know. And so this is a powerful tool to gain information about yourself that you want to know. We are going to go through the 12 applications of mastery. I've prepared these graphics to help us that are taken from the Dance for Life manual. And so with the sun code, here is the sun code that we are going to practice utilizing pineal induction with. And then we're going to pull it up and use the center as a viewing screen. And of course, you can see that we have some faint areas here. We are to imagine they're faint lines, but there are lines, two of them going to each. Okay. We are first going to, for step one, regenerate the missing strands within the template that are crushed due to distortions. They're there, but we may not have a real sense or a visual of all of them. And so first, before we begin the 12 applications of mastery, we must regenerate the missing strands. There should be 12, regardless if you're a 24 or 48 strand indigo. 12 is the template that we're using for the sun code. We replace, repair, regenerate these missing strands before we proceed to technique 2, which is finding out if you're an indigo and what type of indigo you are. In technique 3, again, this could bring up lots of emotions and emotional response, which is what we do not want, and the information may be withheld from you until you're ready for it. Rule of thumb, as Dean has said, that always kind of go for the lower end of the scale when you do receive an answer, just in case you might be wrong, and then you're impressed and surprised when you realize and find out that you actually have a higher percentage of your divine blueprint remaining. The percentage of your divine blueprint remaining will change. Again, this is a snapshot of where you are at the moment. It is recommended that you do this multiple times. Every 3 months, do a check-in as you're going through activations to see if you're increasing in that percentage, which will result in what happens with you for the bridge zone, for the Stargate ascension, and where you'll potentially be, for example. The fourth technique is to detect the flame body activation level at present. These symbols should appear in the center of the sun code. So please do that before, whenever these symbols will appear in the center of the sun code. If they are flickering out, getting hazy, changing a lot, this means that there's part of you that has a fear with understanding this information, with gaining this knowledge. And so it's always wise to ask your avatar Reishi self to present the information that you can handle at this time. And then try again, I guess, at a later date, once you have addressed the fears or concerns surrounding knowing this information about yourself. And exciting, you can find out your 12th, your tribe, if you're one of the 12. We are all an amalgamation of all of the tribes, but we do have typically one dominant. And so this number will appear in the center of the sun code, and you can find out which Stargate you are coded to. You can find out utilizing the center of the sun code, the symbol that represents your Christos avatar family crest, and which one of the three you are coming from. Similarly, you can also use the center of the sun code to find out your Rishiak family crest by potentially seeing one of these symbols within the center of the sun code. It's always great to have a pen and paper nearby so you can take note of these things as well. Keep a journal, and when you repeat this process, you can revisit your notes afterwards to compare to see that they are all the same or if they have changed. Potentially, if you do see a very strong visual of one of these or sense that it's there, then that is the one that is the truthful answer for what you're looking for. You can also detect if you have an Emerald Covenant Masters Templar contract, if you're one part of the 144,000, or if you're kind of outside of that, but still working within the same mission. You can detect if you have a Knights Templar Anunnaki Wizardak or Knights Malta Wizardrak supplemental seal or implant at the time, using either no image at all or one of these two symbols. You can check for miasmic reverse code strand overlays. And so what I'm going to do is to introduce these series of techniques. I'm going to allow speaker 2, Michael Dean, to lead you through the clip and recording for this meditation session where you're going to gain all this information is found in the Dance for Freedom disc 8, I believe, where Michael Dean starts to present the meditation. I'm going to clip that and attach it to this video here, so you don't have to go anywhere else. It will be applied here for you. We may need access to this particular scepter code, the 12 scepter code, because this is what clears the miasms. And so I will pull up this code whenever it's time for you to clear the potential miasms that you're finding within your strands. You can detect your fire code DNA strand braiding level utilizing the sun code and noticing the the 6-pointed stars that are in between each strand so that you can observe if they're still dormant, if there's an implant or blockage there, which then you can heal, if it's activated and how much it is activated. And then, of course, to conclude, you're going to discover your 12D Christos avatar name, which I think is exciting. And so whenever you sing the song of Lyra, Maharata Kumbai Vectas, and you can insert your Christos avatar name because you're going to receive it in the meditation. And that is concluding the Betcha Hova scan. Of course, it is something that you can utilize in other ways to get other information. And again, please use this to also get information about where you're needing your healing, using the scepter code to project that as a technology for healing onto the areas of strands that need the repair and need the regeneration and need the healing. You can also use the D12 Maharic frequency to send the healing to that area, the Amorea flame frequency, or the 12 scepter code. These are all different levels of frequencies that are all very healing that you can send to areas of your sun code that indicate parts where you are needing to have some healing done. It's a great way to get information about yourself and where you are, how you're progressing. If there's somewhere where you need to focus some healing and intention, you can ask questions and you can get answers. This is an incredible tool, and we're just so grateful to have it. And I'm honored to share it with you today. Let's begin the technique first with pineal induction of the Ryanayana code. Inhaling, pulling it into your pineal gland with a cross-eyed focus. And now with a breath and exhale, sending it down into the 13th chakra at Earth's core. With a quick inhale, pulling it up to your Maharic shield, seeing it expand to the size of the Maharic shield. Pulling it up to your pineal gland again, down into the Maharic shield. See it expanded there. Wonderful. We are charging and we are coding this activation code. And then we can begin the sun code. Please enjoy Michael Dean's meditation walkthrough of this process.
Look at it for a few minutes. Close your eyes. Try and hold the visual there at the pineal. If you want to continue looking at the symbol, if you feel more comfortable, that's okay. But basically try and hold the image at the pineal gland. Inhale, draw frequency up, then exhale the sun symbol down to the Earth's core, and then rapidly inhale the code back from Earth's core up to the center of your Maharic shield, 12 inches below your feet. No, just straight symbol. Okay. Inhale again and then exhale gently, imagining the sun code expanding on the exhale out into your entire Maharic shield until it stops expanding. Inhale and contract the sun code back to the center of your Maharic shield. Then rapidly up to your 6th chakra. And then gently exhale the sun code out of your 6th chakra, the 3rd eye, to a position in your etheric body about 1 inch above your forehead skin. Just out from your forehead, in other words, about 1 inch out. This is the etheric viewing screen. So this is the screen you're going to use at your first attempt, and try and relax and don't worry about it, and try and be impulsive if you're getting information. Don't judge yourself for what you get. Now you can put your images away. The point of focus, I suggest that you just sort of sit with your eyes closed. Will probably be helpful until you want to write something down or draw something. Okay. Now looking through inner vision at your little TV screen that you're positioned now just by your 3rd eye, observe the number of full strands appearing in your sun code in your mind's eye, and write the number of missing strands down on your pad. So look at the number. There is a maximum of 12. Just count them. Write the number down that you can see in your mind's eye. You might get this by direct cognition. You might actually see it on the screen. There'll only be one number. You only got one of these things, right? And since you're alive, you've got from 1 to 12 to choose from. Write down the number. If you can just write it spontaneously, don't think too hard about it. Just start jiggering about in your brain and you won't know where you are. If you already start to do that, best to put a dash next to this question and come back to it the next time you do this at home, because you get in a real pickle and you lose your confidence. Okay. Now, we're still looking at the sun code. Try and observe the border around the sun code. I mean, see it, know it, feel it. It can be pale silver, it can be a pale turquoise halo, a pale gold halo, or a pale pink halo, or no halo at all, which is unfortunate. Silver, turquoise, gold, or pink, whatever you sense, see, or feel, write it down. If you see an infinity sign, make a note of that too. Okay, a percentage of the divine blueprint remaining in the DNA template. Observe the center point of the sun code. That's the middle part, right, the little bit right bang in the middle. And mentally request, ask in your mind to know the percentage divine blueprint to appear. Okay, and you're looking for an answer in terms of A, B, C, or D, which will match the interpretation on the notes you have to take home with you. So you're looking for an answer either visually or orally or just by knowing it, A, B, C, or D. And on your notepad, make a note of A, B, C, or D, whichever you move to do, whichever you see. When this is working, it's real fast. It doesn't take any amount of time. It's best to be as impulsive as you can, or what your ego calls impulsive anyway. Next, we're going to move on to detecting the flame body activation level at present. Continuing to observe the center point of the sun code, mentally request activation level to appear. Now, this is decoded in terms of shapes. Most of them look like the akasha, an akasha with nothing inside of it, an akasha with another single akasha inside of it, another with two akashas inside of it, another with a sphere with 3 lines drawn from it inside the akasha, or an upside down akasha with a cross in the middle. So an akasha with nothing in it, an akasha with 1 akasha inside of itself, an akasha with 2 akashas inside of itself, an akasha with a sphere with 3 lines sticking out from it, or an akasha upside down with a cross in it. Any one of those 5. you're still struggling to locate that, I will read the first three, since 4 and 5 aren't available to anyone since they can't be activated yet. An akasha with nothing inside of it, an akasha with one akasha inside of it, an akasha with 2 akashas inside of it. If any one of those 3 appeals to you, make a note on your notepad now. You'll be pulling that from your own field, if from nowhere else, so it'll serve for the time being well enough. Now, we're going to decode the 12 tribe and primary Stargate number affiliation. It's the same number, applies to both. You return your attention to the center point of the sun code at your etheric viewing screen point, just off the third eye, an inch or so from your skin. And in your mind, request the number of your original Earth tribe, which is key to the corresponding planetary gate and Q site. So you're looking for a number from 1 through 12. If it's not coming very readily this way, be prepared to accept a straight yes/no answer that will just be a sense. And if you haven't got the number yet, say to yourself, is my tribe number above 6? Yes, no, and react. That gets you into the 7 to 12 or the 1 through 6. Whichever side of the cutoff point you are, say, is my tribe number between 1 and 6? Is my tribe number below 3 or above 9, depending on which side of the split you're on? And again, do yes, no. And then you come to a point when you've got a simple question: is it 1 or 2? Is it 4 or 5? Is it 7 or 8? Is it 10 or 11? You can reach it that way by setting up with a simple yes, no. Okay, we'll need to move on to the next question, chaps. So if you haven't got it quite yet, then you have to spend a little more time at home. But the means I was suggesting to you to convert it into a straightforward yes/no, ask your Christos self to help you. It's sometimes much simpler. It gives a little bit more of a little more role for your sense of self to play with it, and you relax a little bit more when you do it that way. And it might help you to progress on those kinds of questions. The next is number 6, is to decode the Christos avatar family crest, the Christic capstone, constant. So again, return to your inner vision, your etheric viewing screen, just 1 inch off from the position you know as your third eye. Observe the center point of the sun code once more, and again mentally request to view one of the 3 universal Christos avatar crests as it pertains to your personal family code. You may see something that looks like an A shape, or you may sense something like an A shape. You may hear something that sounds like an A shape, or a U shape, or a couple of S's that look rather flat, like they're lying on their side having a little sleep, one on top of the other. And as you're hearing me describe it, you may have a sense. It may already be feeding, it may be triggering something in your field that will come through as the answer, without you having to stay deeply focused on the inside, waiting for it to come that way. So I'll just repeat them. The sense of A may resonate, image, feeling, sound. The sense of U, a U, or a sort of a couple of S shapes lying on their side. This crest is the one that indicates which family line you came in from, the Elohai, the Seraphai, or the Brahmarama. Okay, well then we'll go on to the next one. This is decoding the Rishik family crest, the Rishik capstone constant. Same as before, eyes closed. Relax. Allow your inner vision to focus on that screen. And however these things may be suggested, you may see something that looks like the triveka, the three interlocking circles. You may see something that looks like a biveka, that's the two overlapping circles. A straightforward circle all on its own, or a circle with a dot in the center. You're all associated with one of them. Three interlocking circles, two interlocking circles, a single circle, and a circle with a dot in the middle. Okay, we'll move on to the next question then. If you haven't got an answer yet, you'll have to revisit that one. Now you're going to detect, and I'm going to put this to you on a yes-no basis, which, as I say, should be easier to get a sense, a feel of a yes or a no. Detect if you have an Emerald Covenant Masters Templar contract. Again, you should focus on the center point of the Sun code and request to know whether you have two questions, one after the other. Answer yes or no, and try and go with what you feel. You do or you do not have an association with a Templar cross held inside of a circle, and at its very center is a circle with an Azurite A in the middle of it. Do you have an active association with that symbol? Yes, no. Now, for people who got a yes on that, you don't have to play with the second part because this is an either or, the way we're dealing with it. So for people who got no on the first part, do you have a relationship, active relationship with a Templar cross held inside of a sphere with a black dot at its center? Yes or no? Just a couple more minutes on that one if you need it. Maintain your inner focus on the center point of your sun code, okay? And make a note in focusing on the center of your sun code if you feel or sense or see any of the following. And just put yes if you see or sense any part of the following. A black square, if you don't see or sense or feel a black square anywhere around the center now, we'll pass to the next one. Do you see or sense or feel any part of a black cross or a black cross at the center of your sun code? Again, make a note, yes, no. If you want to make a note next to the yes, no, if you've got a yes, the sense or the extent to which, like, sort of, a bit, or completely, or like half of a one. Just a note in your own notebook so it reminds you later. And third, if you see, sense or feel no image during this question, write no image. Alright, now this one is going to be just a little more tricky. Right, maintaining focus on your DNA strands. So you need to try and sharpen the sense of the clock face of the 12 at the top, looking at it as it would be 1, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and so on. Okay? It'd probably be helpful if you check them in some kind of sequence, like you go and look at the 1 o'clock strand and look at the 2 o'clock strand. Okay? And look up and down like the long hand of the clock, as if it were the strand, the arm of the strand. Look up and down it and try and observe areas in each of the strands that look darker or greyish, or if they have like dark dust on them, you know, it's a bit dusty, that kind of thing, over the diamond chip codes beneath. These are miasmic overlays that you're looking for, okay? And they're very useful things to find. They're not bad things. Try and be real, with your senses. Try and have a little bit of courage, because these are things you really do want to find if you have them, because you can do something about them. If you pretend they're not there, then they'll bite you. And go around the clock face. You could go around it quite quickly and try and get a feel for where you need to spend time looking a little more carefully and more slowly, because what you really want to do is to find the strand number or numbers, maybe one or two, where you sense there's the greatest build-up. So you whiz around the clock face and try and scan it really quickly. You can come back into the area or areas where you sense that there is some build-up, and you can go find it and give it the number. Stand back as if you're looking at that image, and look to see if there is a quartered part of the clock face that looks or feels or suggests itself darker to you, and go into it that way rather than trying to do it like spokes of a wheel, which might be a little more awkward for you to work with to begin with. It won't be later. So if you can focus on a quadrant, a quarter part of the clock face, and get the sense that there's some grey in there, then just go and look at the 3 strands that occupy that area. You may have 2 quarters that have something in them, so you just have to take your time going in one after the other. You can't do them both at the same time. Now, when you review your notes, you'll notice that there is a very specific way of working with Scepter 12, the Scepter 12 code, to clear any of the miasmic buildup that you discover. And it's quite dynamic because it requires you to rescan, check how well you've cleared that, and to continue to do it in a 3-day cycle until your scan reveals that you've cleared the miasmic buildup on any particular strand or area. Okay, the last one we can do together is to detect the fire code DNA strand braiding levels, because I'd much rather the discovery of a D12 Christus avatar name was something that you did in the privacy of your own home, in your own space, when you're really primed and you're not so tired as you will be tonight. So we'll just finish the session on number 11, and again use the kind of technique of breaking the question down a little bit, detecting the fire code DNA strand braiding levels. Now, here again we have a number of image options, and even as they're described to you in this situation, even as you look at them on a piece of paper, these things will talk to you from the paper. There is an energetic exchange going on as we're discussing what some of the options are that are actually triggering your field. So you're not having to rely on the individual scan all the time, although as you develop your own familiarity with it and you build confidence, this is the thing to do. But for the time being, you get a lot of stimulus just in the way that we're setting this up. So looking inside, again, at the inner screen, as I read them, you may feel, oh, yes or a no, as I described them. You've got a 6-pointed star. Three of the extreme points are black, 3 of the extreme points are white, and that's all we're seeing in our inner vision. Do we see, feel or sense anything of that kind in our inner screen? Do we see, feel or sense a 6-pointed star like that, but with a black dot at its center? Do we see a plain white 6-pointed star? Do we see, sense or feel one 6-pointed star sitting comfortably inside another 6-pointed star? Or do we see, sense or feel a 6-pointed star enclosed in a sphere. Now these exist between these are the fire codes that exist between the strands. You can almost consider this as decoration between the hour marks on a clock and look to see what kind of pattern is sitting all around the spaces between the hours, as if there were lines running out from the center out to the hour numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 through to 12. And imagine or look for a pattern on the face of your clock running in a circle just an inch or two out from the very center point. And are you seeing there a pattern that looks like little six-pointed stars? Three of the points are black, 3 of the points are white in the star shape? Or are you seeing a pattern where it's the black and white points but with a black dot in the middle? Or are they just plain white six-pointed stars? Or are they 2 six-pointed stars, one nesting inside of the other? Or are they six-pointed stars with circles around them? If you can't get it off the clock face, then on your inner vision, try and see this in quadrants again and go for a closer up and more of a detailed look at the thing.
Please proceed to the witness questionnaire in order to determine your primary contact ray before proceeding to technique 19. Please return to this video for technique 19, opening eka contact communication lines, contact 2.